Welcome to ETMA TechTalk, the podcast that unveils forces shaping the future of tech. In each episode, we bring together visionary leaders, forward-thinking innovators, and game-changing experts who are transforming the enterprise tech landscape. Listen to insider perspectives, dive into bold stories of digital transformation, and strategic breakthroughs that turn challenges into competitive advantages. Whether you're looking to scale disruptive innovations, navigate the evolving tech landscape, or explore the latest in AI, technology expertise management, IT services and consulting, cybersecurity, and other technology challenges, this podcast is your key to mastering the future of technology. Here is your host, ETMA's Managing Director, Joe Basili.
Today's guest played baseball in college as a shortstop and second baseman. He has over 15 years of experience working for AT&T, Sprint, Southwestern Bell, and Verizon, and more than 16 years as CEO and founder of the Mobility Marketplace. Please welcome, if you would, David Rippner. David, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Joe.
Awesome. So let's just get into a little bit about what your firm specializes in.
To keep it simple, simply put, we buy and sell smartphones and tablets. That's the simplicity of it.
Okay, and that's what we just saw on a screenshot from your website. You founded the company back in 2009. Walk us through that moment when you had that epiphany, or you just said, hey, this could be a real business for me.
That's a great question. I worked for the wireless carriers over 15 years, and I specialized working with construction accounts who beat up their phones constantly and needed replacements. I utilized an outside resource to help my customers, and after doing that for so many years, I thought maybe I should become that outside resource and support the wireless carrier reps to help take care of their customers.
Okay, so you're saying construction is pretty hard on mobile devices, huh?
Yeah, they can't wait 2 years to get a phone. They're breaking their phones constantly and they need replacements, and paying full retail or paying for insurance is not really the most cost-effective way to do business.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. So what sort of volume do you handle in terms of mobile devices and stuff?
It varies because we'll get into that a little bit more. Everything that we get, as I mentioned, we buy and sell phones. So everything we get comes from our buyback program. So one month I might have 3,000 phones on my website for resale. Another month there could be 8,000 or 9,000, depending on what size customers we're doing buybacks, what the volume is, and et cetera.
So in addition to construction, which I assume is still a market segment, are there other market segments that you like to target with your business?
From a resale standpoint, the construction accounts in that day were big, but the way the industry is changing these days, everyone seems to be looking for reliable used devices so they don't have to pay full retail. And that's more so because of the evolution of how the industry has changed.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how has the industry changed?
Well, before you had 2 years, you would get a free phone automatically. Now the carriers have pushed it to 3 years. So now people are having to have a device in the field a lot longer than they did before. Plus now there's installment payments. So the carriers are really making more money than they did before. The subsidies are not as great. So the customer's paying more. So a lot of customers now are like, if I can get reliable used devices and not go through that, yes, they're going to have to come up with that capital expense up front, but long term, why pay $1,200 for a phone over 3 years when you could buy it used for $600 up front?
And of course, these days it's not a phone, it's a smartphone. So they're much higher ticket items than they were back in the day when it was a cell phone.
Absolutely. So yeah, the costs are a lot higher, and yeah, they're not charging interest, but you're still paying more for a device than you did back in the old days.
So what would you say are some of the biggest pain points enterprises face right now when it comes to managing mobile devices?
The biggest pain point probably that I'm experiencing would be that since the pandemic, where IT departments were cut back and they were reduced to cut back expense, they haven't really replenished them in most companies. So these IT people are having to do way more with way less, and doing a bulk deployment where maybe you had 6 people before and now you only have 3, and you're trying to roll out 1,000 or 2,000 devices to your end users. It's harder to take on. They don't have the bandwidth and time to do it, and they're putting it off longer and longer. And that seems to prevent them from upgrading as frequently as they could. and should.
Oh, interesting. So your position is you think they should be replacing the devices a little bit more frequently than every 4 years, as I said in the intro, possibly.
Absolutely. One, it's good to have the latest technology out there. It's better you have the latest chips inside the phone, but also a lot of customers are looking for a revenue stream. So I'm a little subjective now that I'm on the hardware side, but if they trade them in as often as they're available to them, there's revenue in it with the buyback program I have. Whereas you send me phones that are iPhone 8s at this point that are 5 years old, they're worth nothing. So there's really no revenue in it. So there's just different ways to spin that, whether it's from an operational standpoint or if it's from a revenue standpoint. There is a definite advantage to upgrading more frequently.
Interesting. So when you say more revenue in the phone, you're talking about that buyback program where you're buying the devices from enterprises or large organizations, or you're saying, okay, this is what I can give you. If you give me an iPhone 8, it's not going to be as much as an iPhone 10.
Absolutely. The newer the device, the more it's worth. People are sending me iPhone 15s right now, and they're getting $300-400 for them, and they're upgrading as often as they're available to. I probably work with more government agencies than I do enterprise, and the government accounts upgrade more frequently. The better the quality of the devices is way better, and they like having the extra budget back in. All these companies are all saying, quote, we don't have budget for it. Guess what? I've got a program here to generate revenue for you.
Okay, gotcha. Are there particular channel partners that you find that you target or that you're looking to do business with that are more effective in the sectors that you're targeting?
More the TEMS, the telecom expense managers, they're doing rate plan optimization. I decided to do cell phone device management. So there's two ways to save a customer money. You're either managing the rate plan or you're managing the inventory. We manage the inventory. So it's a really good fit to cover both aspects. And a lot of them want to either white label or maybe just say, let me bring you in and you can cover that part of it.
Gotcha. And what are some of the common misconceptions that you find regarding people, the ultimate user of the devices, when they think about security for the devices?
And that's an excellent point because when you talk about buyback, you're referring to security and the revenue part, which we already alluded to. But most people think you take this handset and you do a hard reset and it's going to remove all the information. And that is not the case. Basically, you're doing a level one encryption. You need a company like us who can hook it up to a machine and basically make sure that phone is reset back to the original specifications of when it came out of the box brand new. And that's one of the things that's very important. It's one of the reasons we work with so many government agencies and a lot of healthcare companies because HIPAA compliance could cost them millions of dollars of fines. So for us to reset the phones, give them a certificate showing that the phone has been reset, protects them. And at the same time, we give them money for their old devices too. So we cover two birds with one stone, two concerns.
And just to clarify, when you say reset, what you're really alluding to is the idea of erasing all the data on the device.
It resets it back to when it came out of the box brand new. Visibly, doing a hard reset looks like it removes it, but it doesn't. And there's been a number of different segments on the news where they say, hey, I bought this phone from someone on Amazon, and look, here's their credit card information. Of course, they have it all blacked out and everything, but it's like I'll usually be in bed watching that on Fox News and go, that's why they should work with me. And I sit up and I start having a fit.
Are there any other ideas that you could share with us with regard to cost savings as it relates to hardware inventory? You mentioned the idea earlier about don't wait so long to replace a device because then there won't be as much value in that device. What other sort of cost saving tips can you share with us?
That's a good point too. I gave you the simply put of what we do, but then we get into more of the forecasting with a customer, basically saying, Mr. Customer, if I'm talking to a roofing company, you're breaking 30 phones a month or so. It's a large roofing company. Let's get you 90 used phones. Now you've got 3 months supply. When your end user breaks a device, it's not a reactive program. It's a proactive approach to managing inventory where you can get that end user back up and running quicker. You give the phone to them, put the SIM card in, they're up and running. You have productivity. You don't have downtime issues. It's a better approach to it. And that is something I did as a wireless carrier and basically transformed it as one step further into the business model where I can help people proactively acquire phones without paying full retail.
So what you're saying is organizations should focus more on their human capital expense and productivity of employees versus the idea of, oh, I don't want to spend this money on a smartphone and have extra smart spares ready to go immediately. The idea is there's so much productivity because these devices today, they're the lifeblood of an organization.
100%. You have a roofer out there making $40 an hour and they don't have way to communicate with the office and they work an 8-hour day. That's $320 of lost productivity.
So let's get into some just what as key differentiators for how you approach the business.
For me, it starts with some basic things of listening to a customer, passion for the business, doing what you'll say you'll do. Those things, which should be very simple, seem to be very complex. And a lot of people are not doing it. And so for me, my approach is really kind of the approach of how do we put together a program that makes sense for the customer? It's not a canned program. I can take my program and deviate it however I want and customize it to what the customer's needs are. So that's really the main way I differentiate myself from that standpoint is I don't have salespeople. I'm the owner of the company. I speak to customers. I like to get to know them. I like to provide them what they need ongoing and put them at ease that we're going to address all their concerns, dot every I, cross every T.
Okay. And I understand that recently you deployed robotics to your business. And I guess there's a link on the website also where people can click on a link under the benefits on the homepage to learn more about it. Can you talk to us a little bit about the robotics that you've deployed?
Yes, that worked out great. In the 16 years we've been in business, the first 14, we were data wiping phones using the software that would remove all the data from the device. About 2 years ago, a consultant introduced myself and this partner together. We have the distribution, the sales channels. This company had the technology to use robotics. In the thinking, when I looked at what was the one big objection that I experienced by manually data wiping the phones, it was that it was a little subjective. You can have a phone that has some scratches on it and some that didn't. And maybe the phone was a B minus and another one was a C plus. Well, the difference in payout could be significant. And it was a little subjective. Now we have robotics that are actually programmed to grade a phone based on the set of criteria that we provide customers and set expectations, as I alluded to before. So it's much easier for a customer now to go, hey, a robot did it objectively. And that one objection that we experienced that 99% of the other buyback companies are experiencing, it's gone away real fast.
Okay. And what's your perspective on the state of the industry today?
It's still saturated. It's been saturated for a long time. There's always going to be need for mobility. So it isn't necessarily broken, but I've noticed recently, because I do partner with a lot of the wireless salespeople from the carriers, and a lot of the longevity and the senior people have taken packages recently. And I think that's a shame because they've got the relationships. Wireless to me is 100% about account management. Of course, you need a good network, but the difference in the three carrier networks, that gap has closed immensely. So a lot of it depends on the salesperson and the way they quarterback the account to make sure the customer's concerns are addressed and bringing in the right resources to help them effectively manage their account.
Okay. And is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to discuss?
The only thing I would say is that the wireless carriers are awesome at what they do. They build the networks out, phenomenal. Indirect partners of the carriers, like myself and many other companies out there that offer different flavors of solutions, they should be relied upon more to be utilized and brought in to help take care of those accounts. When I deal with other companies like telecom expense management companies, it's instead of just coming in with your solutions, be a little more strategic. How do we help and get in front of more customers and let one party do what they do best, let us do what we do best, let them do what they do best. And that's why I stay in my lane and I look to partner with people who stay in their lane and let's all help each other for the common goal of taking care of the customer. That's what it's all about.
Makes sense. As we close this segment of the podcast, is give me something memorable about your firm. Is there anything, any story or anything that you could tell me, or maybe a situation where things didn't quite go as you expected them to go?
From a memorable standpoint, at the end of the day, I buy and sell phones. I make a difference for companies, but I'm not saving the world here or anything to that degree. But I get a lot of referrals. So at the end of the day, I must be leave a positive impression. But I don't know if I can really say my one daughter's a nurse, a teacher. They're making a bigger impact than I do. I'm happy to say I paid for their college education and they're making more of a memorable impact than me. So for me, I do what I say I'm going to do. I take care of the customer. I have repeat business. I work with people. And the way things are these days, if people remember me as the kind of person that when David says something old school, you don't have to sign a contract. We could shake hands or look eyeball to eyeball like we're doing, and it's consider it done. And to me, that's good enough. My credibility is everything. So for me, that's probably the most memorable thing.
Great. Talk about old school. Let's get a little personal and go
Okay.
back to preschool. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in New York, so I'm like what you get. I'm a straight shooter.
Oh, wow. Okay. Whereabouts in New York?
I grew up in the Bronx and then lived in a suburb for 14 years, was out playing stickball, the typical thing. And my father said, I got a promotion. We're moving to Dallas, Texas. And I said, you called me in from playing baseball to tell me that? And 2 months later, we moved.
Wow. Okay. And as a kid, were there things that you did as a kid that are similar to what you do today that maybe helped you on the path that you're on?
Yeah, in first grade, I love this story still to this day. My father and mother got called to school because back in my day, they used to sell milk and cookies in school. The teacher would sell that. I was going to school with my own cookies and underselling the teacher. My father's a salesman, and he looked at the principal and said, I don't see anything wrong with that. So I think I was always born to maybe do something in sales and business per se.
Wow, that's a great story. So, right at it in the first grade, you were out there selling and undercutting teacher on the milk and cookie. I like it. It's a good revenue support. So, who supported you just in that? I guess your dad and your mom too?
Oh, absolutely. They both thought it was funny. It wasn't like I was committing a felony or doing anything really bad. It was just that was my personality that, oh, you're paying that for that? I have cookies at home. I can get them to you for way less. So that value proposition started in the first grade, and I'm all about trying to bring value for people. I was trying to save some kids some money.
Well, that's great. And I understand you pursued baseball, not just in the first grade, but you actually played in college.
Yeah, played a little baseball and it was great because I love competing, love the competition. I love teamwork, working with different partners to help take care of customers, and I love winning. So those traits I took to the business side and it's done pretty well for me.
So tell me, have you had any big wins recently that you could share with us without naming names?
I have wins every day. And if you consider a big win a large deal, yeah, I've got those. Every day for me, when customers have choices, whether they're buying gas, going to fast food, or doing a buyback deal. So for me, every deal, and I'm doing deals every single day. So I consider every deal a blessing and I'm thankful for it. So every deal to me is a big win. I love what I do.
But let's also talk about things that you're passionate outside of work. What sort of things, hobbies, or what are your interests outside of work?
Probably physical fitness. I like to lift weights. Unfortunately, my shoulder right now is probably getting ready to go under the knife soon. So have cut back on the weights, but I'm swimming a lot. I like physical fitness. I'm big on family. My oldest daughter, I'm trying to close that sale where she's going to start the family soon so I could be a grandparent. So for me, my passion really is business and sports and physical fitness and family. That's that. I'm very focused, and what makes me happy is very narrow.
That makes sense. Just as we wrap things up, where can people find out more about the mobility marketplace and your company and yourself?
The website, and of course, emailing me directly. I like speaking to customers, as I alluded to before. We're very hands on, so you could very easily catch me. And we made a short video of our warehouse that, as you alluded to earlier, it's a 2-minute video, so we're not going to take up a lot of your time, but check it out and see what we're about and the emphasis we put on data wiping. And we have a nice facility, and we're looking to partner with anyone who we can help. If it makes sense for you.
Okay, great. So the website URL was the mobilitymarketplace.com. And that really brings us to another episode. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
ETMA TechTalk podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes research, collective wisdom, and action. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions from the market's top problem solvers, making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode.